Poor productivity, poor project performance, and skilled labor shortages are some of the biggest problems facing today's construction industry. Technology gives us a new way to address these challenges. And one of the innovations we're hearing a lot about lately is the AP20 AutoPole, which is a revolutionary smart system for Leica robotic total stations. I'm Christine Grail with Leica Geosystems, part of Hexagon. Here with us today to share insights on the impact of this smart pole technology is Michael James, Director of Building Construction Solutions for Hexagon Geosystems in the US and Canada. Welcome, Michael.
Hey, thank you for having me. Looking forward to talking about the product today and shedding some light on at least how I see the industry and kind of where it's going, and then also talking about this new, latest, and greatest technology here.
Absolutely. Well, first let's talk about construction layout. There have been some significant advances in total stations and field software in the last several years. For a contractor that has the latest state of the art, what does their workflow look like?
Yeah, so it's interesting because the scale across the industry from contractor to contractor still varies a ton. But for that company that's like really on the bleeding edge, they're putting the technology to the fullest use possible on their projects. They're really has total stations and layout as an integrated process in their whole virtual construction delivery process. So from designing and coordinating models in the office and translating that information to the field, contractors are very much so embedded in using total stations on every project because of the speed, the accuracy, the productivity that comes with using total stations. It really goes a long way. So basically, if you're state of the art, you have it as part of your integrated project delivery process. You're taking the information from the office, you're doing all the work in the field very much quicker than traditional ways. And then once that stuff's being built and everything's being built on site, you're actually coming back and checking QA, QC, all those workflows and reporting back to the office on the true conditions. So it's a part of the process now. It's not just a nice to have, which is really what we're seeing the industry going.
Well, and robotics have really made some pretty significant advances, even just recently, haven't they?
They have. The software, for one, is become much, much easier to use. It integrates now with a lot of your authoring products. So are you an Autodesk user, or maybe your Navisworks, or you're using Procore for project management, or whatever that platform is you're using, now this information is becoming a lot more easier to use. So I'd say the software is getting really good and allowing that connected job site to really truly happen. The hardware itself is very quality, as I'd say. It's accuracy, quality, repeatability, but the software really is making that connected job site really happen.
A lot of things for contractors to look for.
Yes, absolutely.
So you have this scenario where it's possible to increase layout speed by an order of magnitude if you're using the latest robots and field software. That's been game-changing for a number of contractors. But even with the fastest, most automated total stations, contractors still have had to deal with manual procedures around the prism pole. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Sure, and that's very true. We talked a little bit already about like software and some of the things that really has done to increase kind of the connected job site and the speed and accuracy of what you're doing in the field. But really, when it comes down to just the simple functions of the prism pole, I still hear a lot of times from contractors in the field that they're out doing their layout, they're trying to get a lot of points done in the day. They're up against a clock, a schedule, and they're missing the little things, like, oh, I forgot to adjust, I moved from a deck to another area, I forgot to adjust my pole height and update it in my software. That happens a lot. And that's a huge thing, because if that's not updated, the person doing the layout will carry that little bit of elevation bust along the way, which can throw things off. That's one I've heard quite a few that, when it comes to really the pole, is really been one that's been an issue. And two, I think everybody's really, really kind of struggled with this is busy job sites. As these jobs are getting bigger, they're getting more complex, and we're talking about And as we kind of talked about in the beginning, state-of-the-art technology, everybody's starting to use it. It's becoming more prevalent on these projects, almost a need to have. So these job sites are getting really busy, and you could see 4 or 5 or 6 total stations in the same area working. And if you know how total stations work, you know they're shooting to the prism, they're tracking their prism. And if you have 6 other ones out there, plus a lot of other obstructions, it can be a very complex site, and tracking and staying locked onto your prism is a challenge for anybody. And so technology really needed to really accommodate that. And I think especially with some of the new products we have brought out and with the AP20, that's really going to help that a lot, because it's a pain, it really is. If you're out there working trying to get 500 points laid out, you're up against the schedule because you're pouring concrete tomorrow, and you're sitting there fighting with everybody else on the job site. So that's probably 2 really key points I'd say that really that have come a long ways when it comes to the pole.
So Michael, what is the AP20? Tell us a little bit more about this innovation.
Sure. So AP20 is a unique little system that we actually released just here a few months back. And really what it is, it's a device that sits on top of your prism pole. So normal setup for any total station or prism setup out in the field would have your pole with the prism on top. That's what you're using to track and go and lay out your points. The AP20 is a new smart device. It sits in between the pole and the prism. And what it does, it gives you some really cool functionality. So some of the points I just talked about around staying locked on, making sure your target height is set at the right time, or to the right height, excuse me. All that's being taken care of now by the AP20. So the AP20 is a device that gives you target ID. So it'll lock onto only its target. And as you're tracking through all the chaos of a construction project, it will stay locked onto you. 2, pole height. We don't have to worry about going to our tablet or to our collector or anything like that and updating pole height because we changed elevation. There's smart sensors inside that do all that for you. And 3, probably the most efficient part of it is tilt compensation. So it's a built-in IMU that allows you to maneuver around a job site and shoot your points without having the tedious task of leveling up over your points.
So that sounds really impressive. Let's deep dive a little bit on each of these capabilities. Can you tell me a little bit more about the target ID function?
Sure. So target ID is very unique. So basically what it is you are setting a unique connection between the AP20, which is with you somewhere on the job site, back to your total station, which is tracking you. So that unique connection is set via different channels. So there's 16 channels in the device. You can set to, say I'm on channel 5, like a radio, and what it will do is track only 5. So even if there's 5 other AP20s on the same deck, all at different radio channels, even as you go to relock onto your prism, it's only going to find you because it's looking for you specifically. So it will lock onto your target with your unique ID.
So it sounds like that saves a lot of time on a busy construction site, just trying to get that lock when you need it.
Yeah, it is, especially when you pair some of our already fantastic technology in our robots like dynamic lock and some of the tracking capabilities we already have in our total stations. Your ability to maneuver and walk through that job site really isn't slowed down now. So those unique functions that like dynamic lock, so you can move as you're moving, the total station will pick you back up and keep on going. That's great. That's great stuff, and only adds value to target ID in the AP20.
So what about the automatic pole height capability?
Yeah, that's a very cool thing. It's very simple, but very powerful. So basically what it is there's a device inside the pole actually. So where you lift, raise, and lower your pole, as your pole snaps in, the snap locks snap in, there's a sensor in there that actually sends that to the AP20. So it knows what height you've changed the pole to in real time, and it sends that to your software. So, and it will update it on the collector side. So taking out the manual tasks of changing heights and typing it in, it's going to do it for you.
Okay, and last but not least is tilt compensation, and this is a really big advantage. Tell us about this capability.
Yeah, tilt compensations, it's all about productivity here. Tilt compensation is basically taking what most people find to be the most tedious task, I guess, of high productivity layout is going to a point and setting up over the point, having to level the point, and come to find out that you're still not level, and then you move you keep moving and moving until you quite get it right. That's the magic. And the guys that are and girls that do this stuff are getting to the point where the really good ones are really good at that. But as we know, like labor and productivity and the people that are available to actually do this layout on projects are becoming less. So trying to put a tool in their hands that makes that part of going and doing layout easier is really what the AP20 has done. So we're using basically an IMU based sensor. So when you can walk up to your point, you stick the point on there, you record it, it stays, whether it's angled in either direction, it's going to give you the same accuracy as long as the point is on your point that you're shooting, you're good to go. And you can move on to the next. So it's taking out that learning curve, which I think a lot of people struggle with, especially when you're moving into, doing total station layout. So.
Well, and I would think it would be significantly faster compared to traditional layout.
Yeah, and that's true. So you can break it down as easy as saying, if it takes me, 2 minutes a point to go lay out 3 minutes a point, if you can take that from 3 minutes a point down to 1 minute a point, because 2 of the minutes are spent trying to just level up over your point, that's a huge time savings. I know we've actually had some feedback from users already in the field that say conservatively 30+% productivity increase because there's so much faster. They don't have to spend that time leveling up over points.
That is impressive. That's great to hear. I would imagine contractors are pretty excited about the potential of this new development. What are you hearing so far?
Yeah, I'm actually a lot of good feedback. It's been really positive so far. The contractors and the people in the industry we've gotten it out to, as I mentioned, they're seeing productivity increases. I think the learning curve has gotten much better. So that's really the immediate feedback that we've gotten. Other than that, I was just at our Hexagon Live conference, I was able to spend some time with some users, put it in their hands and allow them to mess around with it, shoot some points, come back and see the accuracy. And I actually got some feedback from some of them that we can look at here in a video.
Mi nombre es AJ Torres, estoy aquí en Hexagon Live. Ahora mismo estamos probando el AP20 AP20. Entiendo que por esto va a ser un avance muy grande en el layout, va a ser mucho más rápido la productividad porque no tienes que nivelarlo, simplemente lo pones así, tienes obstrucciones, lo puedes poner por debajo y todavía sigue aguantando el ángulo y leyendo correctamente. Estoy bien sorprendido y lo recomiendo.
Hey everybody, this is Vishak Kotayat. I'm a field tech manager with DPR Construction, and I'm at Hexagon 2022 Live. This is my first time at Hexagon and first time checking out the AP20. I've been wanting to have my hands on it for a while now, and this product is just awesome. I think this makes our as-built and our layout process a lot more faster as compared to the traditional methods of layout. We typically use prisms for our layout, and I think this thing's a game changer right here. So it's only a matter of time until which I'll get my hands on this and improve my layout process. So looking forward to it.
Michael, you've been on construction sites. You've seen the AP20 in action. How do you think this technology will impact the overall building construction industry?
Well, I think it's going to have a very positive impact on the building construction industry, and especially around one point, and that's productivity. If I had to break it down into one word explanation of what the AP20 is, and I would say it's a productivity tool. It's not flashy, it's not shiny. I mean, it's a nice, beautiful product because Leica built it, but at the end of the day, it's about productivity. It's using the tilt compensation, the pole height, and the target ID. It's basically making what used to be the traditional prism pole and making it really just a lot smarter. And really what that has done is reducing the amount of learning curve it takes to actually be good at doing layout. So for our contractors and the companies we work with, the industry that are already struggling, like I mentioned, to get people moved into these roles and train them on layout, this is just making that step a lot easier for them. And so productivity, ease of use, as far as learning it, it's really where I see the impact of the AP20 for construction.
I would think there are also some safety benefits as well.
Yeah, you could say that as well. There is definitely some safety benefits too from the fact that one-man operation. the pole is taking a lot of, doing a lot of the work for you, like target ID. You're not spending a lot of time focused on how I'm not connected with my total station, and you're sitting there on a busy active job site trying to figure out what's going on, but everything's going on around you, which can be dangerous. You know, job sites are very dangerous. So, you know, the pole is doing all the work for you now, so you should be a lot more aware of what's going on around you on your job site. So like you said, it is bringing a level of safety and awareness back to the operator.
And I would think that all of these at the end of the day are helping contractors extend their resources. Resources are, it's tough right now to get the right people, right? And so you have technology, you can use technology in some ways to fill the gaps.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Extending the resources, but also, you know, being able to do more with less, I think is another key point. You're doing more work with less because we're more productive now. We're doing things faster, easier. And it's easier and it's not as hard to train people to do the work. So we're actually extending the life and usage of this technology. So I think we're just going to see it expand a lot more. Anybody that's using a total station today knows the pain that they fight with on a job site. And I think this really has targeted those three things. And if they're using a total station, it's time to move and get an AP20 and extend the life and extend the productivity of your project.
Excellent. This is such an exciting development. We look forward to hearing success stories from contractors as they implement this new technology. Thank you for sharing your insights with us today, Michael.
Yeah, you're welcome.